The Amazon rainforest is over 4 million square kilometers in size, 60% of which is in Brazil. It is the most biodiverse place on the planet, and 1/3 of all of the world's species can be found there. The Amazon rainforest plays a crucial role in the world's climate, helping to regulate temperatures and rainfall, producing 20% of the world's oxygen, and storing over 100 billion tons of carbon dioxide. Almost 1/5 of Brazil's Amazon region has been deforested, mostly in the last 40 years, with an area the size of a football pitch lost every 10 seconds. This is the result of a rising international demand for cattle, soya and timber, and Amazonian deforestation has led to Brazil's position as the world's 4th largest carbon polluter. The World Wildlife Fund predicts that by 2030, 55% of the Amazon could be destroyed or severely damaged. This would lead to the release of up to 26 billion tons of carbon into the atmosphere, equivalent to 3 years' worth of current worldwide emissions. Faced with this impending global crisis, it's time to ask ourselves, what would it cost to save the Amazon, and what will it cost if we don't? The Amazon Association are based in Brazil on the Rio Jaipuri River, 500 kilometers from the city of Manaus. Created over 15 years ago, the association established the Xixerus Chaiparina Reserve and now protects 500,000 acres of rainforest. The association are unique in marrying conservation efforts to protect the rainforest from loggers and illegal fishing, with the social aims of providing education, medical facilities and a sustainable means of living from the forest to the communities who are based there. Chris Clark has been living on the reserve since its creation and is a founding member of the Amazon Association.
The first time I ever came to the Amazon was in 1984 and just basically went out into the forest. And one of the first places I came to was the Jaipuri River, which is this river we're on now. From 84 to 1990 I came back to the Amazon every year, and the people who I'd gotten to know on the Jaipuri, who are now more or less the village elders here, got together one evening and approached me and said, obviously I liked the area, I liked coming back, we'd gotten to know each other quite well, we trusted each other now, and would I be interested in doing something to help them? Because they had no health assistance, they had no education, no schools for their children, and no way to make a living in the forest. So many of the families that used to live in the forest had emigrated to live in slum areas of cities like Manaus. So we talked it through and we came up with the idea of the association.
Porque aqui a gente vive muito melhor do que essas outras comunidades que existem aí para baixo. Porque aqui a gente tem tudo que a gente precisa, né? Nem tudo assim, mas é muito melhor do que viver aí nessas outras comunidades que não tem o que a gente tem aqui.
The Amazon is home to over 24 million people, most of whom are living in poverty with no legal tenure to the land that they live on. Few know their rights and often find themselves forced from their homes by loggers and ranchers looking to exploit their land. The inhabitants of the 500,000 acres of the Xixerus Chaiparina Reserve are very unusual, benefiting from a comparatively high standard of living, a health post and financial assistance. This has all been made possible through the pooling of their land rights and the creation of the Amazon Association, with their land now protected by the federal government.
The Amazon Association was formed in February 1992 and I was instantly a member, and so were they. And the association bought the land rights. The agreement was that they would take care of preserving the area and looking after the environment, and I would go out looking for resources to improve their standard of living, which quite quickly we managed to do. I think the first project we did here was the Survival Anglia television project, and with the resources we earned from that, we bought a community boat and built the lodge over the side of the lake, and we started hosting researchers and television companies and photographers and journalists, and with that revenue built the school, and then we got the internet connection in, and we built the health post.
The success of the association and the Xixerus Chaiparina Reserve is in stark contrast to the lives of people in neighbouring villages just a few kilometres away. These communities, like most in the Amazon, have virtually no state support and face a continuing struggle for survival in the face of poverty, sickness and malnutrition. To survive, they are forced to hunt protected species and trade illegal timber. Many of them leave periodically to look for employment, only to return even more impoverished or ending up in the slums of Manaus.
Isso, aqui a gente tem tudo, nunca falta nada, aqui sempre a gente tem tudo, como nas outras comunidades não tem, que a gente chega lá e, como o seu Manuel estava dizendo, tem gente que não tem nem sal para temperar comida, né?
Em primeiro lugar, o desemprego, que Que aqui já tem uma ajuda de custo, que não é salário, mas dá para manter a família. Na outra comunidade não existe. Não... Se o cara tem que viver da natureza, pescando, caçando, destruindo a natureza nossa, né? Então...
Nós temos aqui ajuda demais das pessoas que vêm da Europa, e as comunidades não tem. Não tem ajuda nem do governador e nem próprio dos vereadores.
At the very heart of the Amazon Association's approach is the belief that the key to protecting the rainforest is by safeguarding the welfare of the communities who live there, empowering them to protect it themselves.
O objetivo da associação é a preservação, né? A preservação da fauna e flora da floresta, entendeu? Então a gente preservando hoje aqui, quando for amanhã, meu filho vai comer do que eu como hoje, entendeu? A riqueza da natureza. Esse é um dos nossos objetivos aqui dentro da associação, a diferença que a gente tem, né?
If you've got 5 hungry kids at home and you see an animal, you're going to kill that animal to feed your children. You need to have the local people involved in protecting the environment, otherwise it's not going to happen. Because the people who live in the forest, given the choice, will continue to live in the forest. They leave the forest because of poverty, they leave the forest because there's no health service, they leave the forest because there's no education for their children, and they move to the slums of cities like Manaus, and which is what we've seen happen here. Nobody leaves to go to the city. On the contrary, people who left generations ago, families have been coming back here because they now have the chance to live well here. And I'd like to see that sort of thing expanded to the other communities, because they will then become the guardians of the forest, and it's the only realistic way of saving this forest. And the local people of the Amazon are not capable of doing it alone, because they have a culture of responsibility, a culture of conservation. It's a totally new concept to them. So there needs to be a kind of marriage of cultures there. There needs to be the positive things that our society and our culture can give to them, and their knowledge of the forest and what can be done sustainably and what can't be done sustainably in the forest.
The Amazon Association continues to work closely with a wide network of national and international agencies, including the World Wildlife Fund, the World Conservation Unit, the Chico Mendes Institute, and the Amazon Region Protected Area Programme, amongst many others. However, the closest of these relationships has been with IBAMA, the Brazilian Protection Agency, who have been working with the Amazon Association to create an enlarged extractivist reserve of nearly 1.5 million acres, approximately 3 times the size of the current one.
In 2001, we were contacted by IBAMA of Brasilia, and a delegation from Brasilia actually came here and saw the place and saw how we were running it, and they came up with the idea of creating the Lower Rio Branco Rio Jaupari Extractive Reserve. And it was decided that it would go all the way down to where the Jaupari meets the Rio Negro, which is like 150 kilometers south of here, and then up the neighboring Rio Branco. And so the IBAMA started the bureaucratic process to have the reserve created, which is quite complicated and lengthy. It involves meetings in all the villages, it involves environment reports, it involves socioeconomic reports and studies of the local people, and then it involves a public consultancy in which the local people voice their desire for their area to become an extractive reserve.
With the bureaucratic process nearly finished and all obstacles navigated, the presidential decree confirming the creation of the Lower Rio Branco Jaupari Extractivist Reserve is imminent. The federal government has long been a supporter of the Amazon Association, especially the recently departed Minister for the Environment, Marina Silva. In her letter of resignation, she specifically requested that her successor continue the process of creating conservation units, especially the extractive reserves of the Xingu and Lower Rio Branco Jaupari. To get to this point has taken a lot of time and resources, but the real challenge lies ahead, as the association are now working towards achieving similar levels of education, health and financial support for the communities who live in the expanded reserve. This is a monumental task that, coupled with the ongoing protection of the existing reserve and its people, requires serious investment. The work of the Amazon Association is a proven model for protecting the rainforest and its communities that works from ground level right up to federal level. Reserves such as this are part of the key to saving the Amazon, as they offer a protective buffer to the progress of the loggers. Their work is unique and directly meets the challenges facing the rainforest. The Amazon Association desperately need funds to maintain the existing reserve and to bring the welfare of the communities in the expanded reserve to a comparable level, so that they too may become the guardians of the rainforest, protecting it for all of us. This is a global problem that requires global support to help implement a local solution. It's time to ask yourself, what will it cost to save the Amazon, and what would it cost if we don't?